So, welcome everybody. Welcome to the webinar today. I'm Mike Ridley. I'm Sales Director with Ubrix, and the topic for the discussion today is new tech worth the headache? We're not really going to be talking about products or demos. It's more the process and the idea and the thinking behind it, and some of the risks involved in that. I'm joined today by Mohan Sai, who's CEO and founder of Lette, and also by Kate Murray, who's founder and CEO of Ubrix. So I think first of all, I'll just go to you two and just maybe just a brief intro of who you are and a bit about your company as well. So Mohan, if I could start with you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mike. Hey, everyone. My name is Mohan, and I'm the co-founder and the CEO of the company called Lette. Lette is an agentic operating system for institutional real estate investors and operators. The simplest way to put it is we deploy AI into the systems of large-scale operators who manage thousands of buildings and assets and improvise their operations. And we are currently active in UK and Ireland, managing more than almost 20,000 apartments, and we are quite out scaling from there. Great to be here and contributing to this one. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mohan. And Kate?
Yeah, great intro, Mohan. I'm Kate Murray. I am co-founder of Ubrix. Ubrix is a software as a service platform. It's built specifically for the UK housing industry. What it does is it connects the entire journey from sales through to the build, through to the end of the DLP in one place. So teams can stop chasing information and start using it. Before Ubrix, I worked in the prop tech sector. So everything that we've built, it comes from real experience.
That's great. Thanks, guys. So the way we're going to structure today is I'm going to put a series of questions to the panel of Kate and Mohan and get their response and their ideas, which hopefully will help you as well think about the whole idea of tech. And we're going to include AI as well, because obviously that's important at the moment, and there's a lot of noise out there. So the first question we have is I'm going to put to Kate to start with. Why buyers say they want value from new tech? What does that realistically look like in housing, and where does AI genuinely contribute to that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it really depends on who you ask. But typically the common thread is the same. So people want to spend less time chasing information and more time doing their actual jobs. Whether that's your sales team, keeping customers informed without manual updates, whether that's your site teams having full oversight of a development without waiting for responses from three different people, or whether it's your aftercare team being able to see the full history of a property without starting from scratch. It all comes back to the right information being available to the right person at the right time. And really, what we found is that most housing businesses actually need is one place where every stage of the journey can see exactly the same information, which sounds really simple, but it's surprisingly quite rare. Most are running separate systems for each function that don't always talk to each other. And that's where the gap is currently. Things fall through those gaps. In terms of AI, the useful applications now are quite targeted. AI needs good data to work with. So if your information is spread across 5 different systems, none of them are talking to each other. AI doesn't have anything meaningful to draw on in that scenario.
That's great. Thanks, Kate. And Mohan, the same question to you.
Yeah, it's a very interesting theme that is across the industry because Ubrix comes before or while the building is being built, and we come in after it's built. But the fragmentation of the data and the lack of a single point of truth, that's the whole thing, right? And that is quite true across the industry. And this is very evident when you talk about AI. Now, data is one problem. We'll come to that in a second. But then what is the value, right? Because whenever we hear the term of AI or something new is happening, everybody wants to jump in. Now, that is great because you want to be early adopter, but also if you don't know what is your business and what is the value that you want from your business and try to seek the fruit from somewhere else, it's not going to work because like you go to ChatGPT and you can't just buy a random thing, right? You just want to know, where can I buy a shoe? At least you need to know you need to buy a shoe. You can't just go and say, sell me something. That's exactly kind of things what we are seeing in the industry right now because people want value, but it's hard to define the value. So when In our world, what's a value is operational efficiency. That is one thing is a very much a value there. How can I let AI or any other system for that nature do the boring work so that I can focus on more value add work like resident experience or selling more houses or whatever that actually moves the needle, because 80% of the work is mundane work, 20% actually makes a revenue. How can we offload that boring work somewhere else and get that 20%? That is the first value that we are seeing. And the second value is they see this as a competitive edge advantage for them. Previously, let's take some other industry, right? Both of our industries, okay, legal industry. People were able to do 5, 10 merger and acquisitions. Now with AI, they're able to do 50. The same way, if you put it in our industry, how can the same team can be 10 times more efficient and do more deals? That is the value. So these are the things that buyers say when they want value. This is what they're expecting from the vendor. They don't want another shiny system with a nice UI. No, that's nothing. They want, how can you give me the competitive edge that was never possible before? If you can do it, that would be great.
That's great. Thanks, Maya. Thanks, Kate. Obviously, if anyone in the audience has questions, drop them in the chat. We'll see if we have time. Otherwise, we'll follow up with you guys afterwards. That's not a problem at all. It's a lot of meat in this subject we're talking about today. So the second question I'm going to put to you two. Again, let's go back to Kate. Where do you most often see new tech, including AI-led tools, fail to deliver, and why?
Yeah, it's quite a big question, that one. So what we commonly find, especially with the conversations that we have at Ubrix, is adoption. Um, so what we found is that businesses invest in a system, but the team aren't using it because it's too complicated, onboarding takes too long, or it doesn't work on site. What we often find as an extension of that is often the people who are purchasing the system, who are doing the audits, who are checking the market to see if it's a fit, aren't the end users. And what usually happens is they're the one leading on the demos, on the trials, whatever, but they don't actually get the buy-in from the team as a whole. So what we do at Ubrix, which is slightly different, is making sure that everybody has a clear step-by-step guide on what exactly it is they're trying to get out of it, what their pain point is from the get-go, so that they understand against potentially a system that they're using currently, or any other workflows that they're using within their business internally. Is that going to meet what their need is at that given moment, which is, I think, really important to consider when you're out in the market and you're appraising all of these new systems to potentially implement. One of the other things is that I mentioned previously is siloed systems. So most house builders have one system for sales, they have another for build, they have another for aftercare, and then finance. But if these systems don't have the ability to talk to each other via an API, which just means can they share information automatically? If they don't have that ability, then every time data moves between these departments, it needs to be entered in manually, which is where errors creep in, and nobody has that full oversight of their business. With AI, we've actually had quite a few conversations with companies who have, I think Mohan alluded to this before, looking at hiring or already have hired internal AI specialists to figure out where to plug in some AI, which isn't meaningful, because it's kind of like an analogy I like to use in terms of maybe buying a sat nav for your car, but your car doesn't have wheels. So you're trying to find a problem. It's not necessarily the most important problem, but you're trying to find somewhere to kind of shoehorn this AI functionality in without really understanding what it can do for your business and what the most valuable angle is for your business. So that's really important to consider as well. And then also it kind of comes on to another thing that we've heard of quite a bit is this misconception between automation and AI. And there's a lot of blurred lines between the two in the discussions that we've had. Sending an email to somebody and then having that sent back isn't necessarily AI. That's an automation layer. That's not a learning machine. So I think it's about having that full understanding about what AI is, but before you even engage anybody to discuss that with you and your team, you need to find out exactly what you're wanting to achieve with any technology, whether it be AI or whether it just be another piece of software that you're looking to integrate into your operations.
That's great. Thanks for that, Kate. Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider. And Moen, sorry, over to you. Answer for you.
Yeah, I mean, like Kate, you covered the main all aspect of that. The main thing is almost 90 to 95% of the all AI adoption and pilots fail. That's how you should report, right? So, and we saw this happening because some of the problems that our customers facing don't need AI. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very simple. Like one of our customer base would be small landlords, like having 3 to 4 apartments, and they don't need AI. They can do everything they want to do with their WhatsApp. There's no need. It's easy to just ask them, hey, why is the fridge not working? Just give them the answer, give them the plumber the information, rather than it goes to a fantastic AI system that does the whole thing. But then the necessity demands the solution, and what's happening right now is there are a lot of solutions because big tech has invested billions in these solutions, but that doesn't mean all the solutions are going to be fit for the problems that the customer has. So that is the first understanding. So two things that where it breaks down is, first, there is no internal champion. What do I mean by that is, for any organization to adopt any technology, not just AI, for any initiative, there needs to be somebody internally in the organization understands the organization's challenges, growth plans, and everything. Second, they need to go and look for the solution, or if the solution is present to them, assess is it solving their problem. And if both of them matches the opportunity, then they need to deploy it. However, it's very important that they go and measure the output as well. Just because somebody says, oh, this is going to work, it's not going to work. Prove me, show me how. All these things need to happen. And if those things align, then it's success. Because we have run multiple pilots with our customers. And every time, it's not our customers asking us a question. We go and ask a question. Oh, is that KPI hit? Are we doing this one for you? Is this actually making your needle move on this particular part of the area? Because we are learning as much as they want to see the success. And that push and pull is going to make something more successful. If you don't have it, if you're just going to think, oh, it's like I have the system, I'm going to plug it in my stack, it's going to do the magic. No, it's not going to do the magic. It's just going to sit there and erode your operational cost. It's just going to be there. This is what we have been seeing in the market at the moment.
That's great. Thanks, man. It's an awful lot to consider there, isn't there? And as you say, sadly, the stats say that most AI pure projects fail. So you really need to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay, so we'll move on to probably our last formalized question. We've covered an awful lot already, which is great. What should teams look for before committing to new tech, especially when AI is involved? Should we carry on with Kate, or happy to start that one, Kate?
I will let Mohan have a turn going
Mohan,
first.
another one. Very good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah, let him have first dibs on this one.
No, it's the same thing on the last question, right? So they need to have the bandwidth to do it, because AI again is not. We are basically going there and fundamentally asking you change how you used to work, because this is not a technological change. This is an operational change. Again, taking my industry back as example, previously when somebody used to want to view your apartment, it goes to their inbox, and then you go back and message them, hey, are you available, back and forth, and do that. And then they introduce technology. Oh, you don't have to do it with this. We have automation. You can use MailChimp. You can use HubSpot. It just goes back on the email. Still, the communication and the coordination was happening by the human, right? Now, when AI came in, we are now doing the full coordination. We are doing the full end of the spectrum. Great. So the team needs to change their ways of working. So if your job is not the one to schedule the viewing, it's your job is not right now to get the offer form. What is your job? There is some other place where it's more value add. So this change is what triggered due to AI, because previously the computers didn't have context. It didn't understand the difference between blue and red. Now it does very well between, like, more than humans. It does very well on those kind of minute context. Now you need to make the change. So this is the first thing the team needs to understand. Am I ready for the change? Am I ready? This is going to shake up how I've been doing things for the last 10, 15 years. It's going to change it. Am I ready for it? If you are ready for it, then you have the bandwidth and then implement it and get it success. But and then, as I said in the last answer, you need to know what is your KPIs, what is your business goals. If your business goal is to get another 5,000 properties in your portfolio or build 100 more homes, a lot of things, great. How is this going to help on that particular part of the journey? If it's not, then you shouldn't be taking this one. That's again a different one. So this is there. And the last point I would add is two things. One is you need to see the value immediately. If somebody promises you AI or somebody promises you any technology, show me again. Can you show it to me in a couple of weeks and everything? And then the transformation shouldn't be like 8 to 12 months, 15 months projects. That's another notorious thing that is happening in our industry right now is they try to sell a software, and then once you say yes to the software, they quickly bill you in, put you into the process, but it's not delivered for another long time, 6 to 8 months, and based on who the vendor is and what is the scale of the project. But that itself a problem, right? Because you believed in a technology, you wanted the technology, you wanted it to show the value, but you don't see the value. By the time the technology itself gone, some of the technology is here, it's not right. So that is another thing that vendors need to really demand is show me, like if you're gonna sell me ice cream, give me a sample. That's how it needs to be happening as well.
That's great. Thanks, Mohan. And Kate, yes, your turn now.
Yeah, some really, really great points there, Mohan. Think something else that actually just dawned on me, Sharad answered the last question, is also regulations. So when you're thinking about new homes delivery, now new homes ombudsman's been around for a while now, but previously it was just voluntary. From September, it's going to be mandatory for all new home builders to subscribe to this legislation. So now the onus is on the builder to ensure that they have a full audit trail, and that doesn't just start when something's handed over. That starts right from the point of reservation. So as soon as the buyer is engaged. Now, with lettings, it might be slightly different, but I think when a team is looking to adopt a new piece of software, I think it's very important that, especially if you've already got other systems in place, it is so important to make sure that this fragmentation is being resolved by this new piece of software, because there is no point in introducing another piece of software to your tech stack if it's just going to add another silo to your workflow. And the reason I bring up the new homes ombudsman is because that audit trail is so important. I believe it was 70% of all new homes ombudsman complaints were actually upheld against the developer last year. So it's even more important than ever to make sure that you've got those full audit trails. So spreadsheets, WhatsApps, they're not necessarily gonna cut it anymore. So yeah, I think the other thing that Mohan alluded to, which was really important, is ask what happens on day one. So if you are going to be investing in a piece of software, however much that piece of software is going to cost you, the return needs to be visible quickly, not in 18 months, exactly how Mohan worded it. It's so important when you're thinking about digital transformations and results. I think there was a study that said it was only about 16% actually improved results. And that's usually because nobody consults the people who had to change how they work. So they're introducing these systems across the board to the team, and the team are thinking, oh, okay, so now I've got something else to learn. So it has to be intuitive. It's got to be pick it up, easy to use from day one, but then also see that value from day one. And then the integration piece again, which is what I keep talking about, but is so important. So in terms of the economy, when you're thinking about construction productivity, it grew by just 14% between 1970 and 2020, whereas the wider economy grew by 250%. And a huge part of that is down to fragmentation. So any new tech needs to close that gap, which is what I said before, but it's so important for you and your businesses. And then I think the last thing, just with AI in mind, it's ask where the human stays in the loop as well. So if a vendor can't clearly explain what the AI does and where the human element comes in, you really do need to be cautious about that, because AI, as Mohan said, it's not magic. It does need to have that AI input. It needs to understand you, it needs to understand your business, and it needs to understand your customers, your residents, your home buyers as well. So just keep that in mind as a really important point to ask anybody.
Yeah,
Thanks,
definitely.
Kate.
Just adding on
Sorry,
to
Mohan,
that.
carry on.
Yeah, so it's very important that you have that chance to experiment with it pretty much on the
Yeah.
first day one, because there is a huge element of consulting that needs to be done, and not every company would be able to provide you that level of consultancy because the AI is in the early stage of its life cycle. If you're talking about this in 2030, everybody will be like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen, because that's what happened when in 2010 with cloud, everybody said, oh, you can log into your computer from any part of the world. It was fascinating. That's where the era of SaaS came, and everybody got Facebook and a lot of other things. But there was a handheld period where vendors were helping the businesses to teach it a little bit, where you or some of our customers can't afford Deloitte or Accenture or the bigger consultancy firm and try to come and teach them and change the process. That is the job of the vendor itself. When you are selling the product, you're not just selling the product, but you're also selling the relationship. You're also selling the know-how. You want to have a incentive of their success in there. So when you look out for the vendor, don't just look out for somebody who just gets the work, but will they, if I ask them, will they come and sit with me in my office and do the work for me? If they're, yeah, they are, then you have a right partner. If you can't even reach them on their customer support, then that's actually a problem.
Great. Thanks for that, Mohan, as well. So thanks, Mohan and Kate. We've gone through our main questions for the webinar today. We don't, as I say, have much time, but we do have time for one additional Q&A that's come along. So maybe you could address this briefly. Is what would you recommend from either a best of breed approach, so a best of breed combination of vendors, versus one single provider that really aims to do everything well? Mohan, should we stick with you for that one? Maybe you want to respond to that.
Okay. It's very much depends upon what type of business, again, because I know the easiest answer would be picking either or, but if you are a very, very small operation, you don't need five technologies. You don't have, like, simple. If you're a single individual, you don't need five email inboxes, right? You just need one. In the same way, if you are operating at the volume of certain, in my case, it would be like a real estate agent with, let's say, 200 properties. They don't need five systems. They just need one that is effective and works. But if you have more growth ambitions, you have a volume problem, I would definitely go for multiple ones. But as Kit mentioned, they need to be talking to each other. For the sake of having three or four, it's not going to work. They need to talk to each other and give you the centralized view. Why? Because each one gets specialized on something that will help you to grow your business faster. The second one is you're diversifying the risk, because let's say one of our customers, which has like 5,000 unit portfolio, if they put everything in one system, they have a huge risk on that aspect as well. So I'm not trying to decentralize the data. Don't mistake me that I'm trying to move the data into different places. The data needs to be connected, need to be talking. That's where the power of AI comes into place. The data needs to be there. But you need to understand the difference between the system of records and the system of actions. There are some very good systems like Urbix and us and a lot of system of actions, which does the job, keep the data in the sync. But then there is system of records like different systems like Salesforce or something else that you're using. That also is needed because that diversifies your risk, especially if you're working in a bigger operation. So that is my long answer of saying both.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. I think it is on a case by case basis, but as we all know, people do have existing tools. It's so important that it integrates. I'm speaking quickly because we've only got 2 minutes left. But I think if to leave you with anything, it would be that data is power. So when your data flows cohesively between each system across the business, you can actually learn from that. So maybe something went really well in a development, maybe something didn't go so well, but you can learn from that and then build it into your next phase, your next development, whatever it is. And from my perspective, data is key. Rather than guessing, you're actually you're actually using that information to build your business to the next level.
Great. So thanks very much, Kate and Mohan. Yeah, we're bringing the webinar to a close now. I think just a summary, 2 points from me is, that's really come out from the talk today, is what should you not be doing? Well, I think you shouldn't just sit there and do nothing. You shouldn't just sit there and assume that the tech you have or the solutions you have are fine and always going to be fine. I think you've always got to be ready to change and develop for the sake of your business, you know, for reducing costs, increasing efficiencies. And so to start doing is really to have that regular review. It may only be once a year, but to look at the market, look at the tech out there, assess what your business is doing, where there's gaps, where there's issues with value and features, where communication is not happening between tools, because there may well be tools that can out there that can help you. So there we go. Thank you very much for your time today, and please follow up with us. I know this discussion can carry on and on.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.